Good afternoon, my Lux ladies. I am here with a live stream, and I wanted to talk to you about a very, very important topic. And this is one I probably have not delved into too much because it's a bit, well, like the title says, depressing. And I like to be more of a high vibe motivational coach and to help you, keep yourself at a really high vibration and keep your mindset correct, and that will help you create this healthy lifestyle that you're striving to live. But there are some fundamental things that we need to know about and some things that need to be addressed, and knowledge that I need to share with you no matter how yucky it is and how hard it is. So even when I was researching this topic, and I have some notes that I'll be looking at through this presentation, but even as I was researching, I was just like, oh my God, this is just, it's not good. It's terrible. But the good news is you are in control, so you still can do certain things to clean up your diet, and you just have to know what to look for. So here I am, your health and success coach. I am here to impart this knowledge upon you so you can make better decisions for you and for your family as you continue day to day and live this healthiest lifestyle. I'm very passionate about helping women become healthy and stay healthy. We just wrapped up the 14-day spring detox this on Friday, and everyone had phenomenal results that participated in it. I mean, moods have been lifted, pounds have been shed, and just energy has soared through the roof. And so it just helped me to really see how important it is to do these types of seasonal detoxes and to teach people exactly what that means, because detox is such a word, a trendy word that's thrown around a lot, but a detox can be a wonderful, beautiful thing that you do for your body. And I'm going to be doing these seasonal detoxes too, because I see how important it is. But let me get into today's topic, which is your diet and depression and the missing link. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic today is because this conversation has been in my circle, in my environment, a lot for the past couple of weeks. And then one of the detoxers reached out to me, and we had a really good conversation. And she shared with me that, she had been struggling with just not feeling mentally herself, just kind of like, and didn't know where this feeling of heaviness was coming from. Some may call it the blues, some may call it depression. But she realized as she was going through the detox, it wasn't just a physical thing for her, it was emotional. And there is a connection, so I'm not surprised that she had such a great improvement in her brain chemistry as she was detoxing the toxins literally from her body. So I want to talk a little bit about the history of your diet and depression, or the blues as some may call it, or altered brain chemistry, right? So it's not just about depression, it's also about other brain maladies like ADHD, which a lot of people who did the pre-detox questionnaire mentioned that they have a hard time focusing at work, just feeling like they are suffering from ADHD. And that was something that I also thought I had a couple of years ago before I became a health coach. Like, I literally did everything except go to the psychiatrist to get a prescription for ADHD. I took all the tests online, and I just knew that was my issue. And it wasn't. It was my diet. So let me just talk a little bit about glyphosate. That is the big missing link that a lot of people are not familiar with. So glyphosate is a chemical compound that was introduced to us in the 70s. And the original glyphosate chemical compound was created by a company, and it was used in the Vietnam War. So if you're familiar, and I'm sure you guys have seen all the footage from the war, but in Vietnam was like the jungle, right? That was the jungle war. So in order for the U.S. to be able to attack the troops, they couldn't see them because they were all hiding in the jungle. So they created this chemical compound, which basically they sprayed all over Vietnam, the jungle, so they could kill the trees and the foliage and everything, so they were able to see the troops as they were hiding in the jungle. So this company, Monsanto, took this after the war was over. They came up with a new usage for this chemical compound called glyphosate, and they sold it to food companies. And the food companies, because food is being mass produced, it was introduced into the U.S. in 1974, they used it to kill weeds in the foods that were being mass produced for our consumption. So not only were they killing weeds, they were also killing the bugs and things that were harming their crops. And this has been going on since 1974. And we are consuming, unknowingly, tons of this chemical compound, glyphosate. Now, if you go back in history, you are probably familiar with the soldiers that came back from Vietnam, the U.S. soldiers, and a lot of them suffered from different brain issues because of Agent Orange. That was the original glyphosate compound. Because it was, not only did it kill the foliage in the jungle, but it also started killing cells within our bodies and our brain cells, and so causing a whole bunch of issues. So, but that wasn't terrible enough, so they now have turned it over to food companies who now use it to kill pesticides and kill weeds in all of our genetically engineered food and anything that is grown non-organically. And let me just be clear, so you think you're buying like conventional fruit and produce and you think, okay, well, I'll just wash it off. I have my food wash, my vegetable wash, I clean it in vinegar or whatever you do. And actually I have a favorite vegetable produce wash that I use all the time called Eat Cleaner. But you're not washing it off because there's nothing to wash off. It's actually systemically in the fruit or the food or the vegetable that you're consuming. So it's in the soil feeds the plant, and then you consume the plant. So you're consuming the glyphosate. And the more that you consume, the more you are consuming and getting that glyphosate into your body. And as you know, when those toxins invade your body is like, WTF, I don't know what's going on. I'm being like bombarded by this craziness. And your system starts to overload. And it results in a lot of different symptoms in different people. So let me just go back here and look at my notes and make sure I didn't skip anything. But each year, non-organic farmers are dumping millions of pounds of Roundup. Oh, that's one thing I missed. On food crops. So glyphosate is now called Roundup. So you guys are all familiar with Roundup. Some of you are probably using Roundup to kill weeds in your own gardens. Well, that is glyphosate. So that is the Agent Orange that was used in the Vietnam War. Has now been sold commercially and sold to a company called Monsanto, and they created this product called Roundup. And so not only are you using Roundup in your own gardens or your own homes to kill the weeds, which, by the way, can potentially harm your children and your pets just by walking by it, but the food companies are using it by the gallons, the tons, to kill the weeds of all the food that they're producing. So we are eating excessive levels of Roundup, and that is unfortunate. So scientists have revealed that exposure to Roundup can potentially alter your hormones, which can lead to obesity, heart problems, and diabetes. Now, let me just tell you, Roundup has been banned in some countries like France. And we always wonder why, the French eat so decadent, and they don't gain any weight, and they smoke, and they, drink wine with every meal, but they don't have the same health issues we do. Well, because there are some things that their government is a lot smarter about than ours. So it's been banned in France, it's been banned in Sri Lanka, and now even in some counties in California, farmers are not allowed to use Roundup in their food, which is great. But God knows where else the rest of the produce is coming from. So glyphosate, there's one doctor, a research scientist from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Her name is Dr. Stephanie Seneff, Seneff. And she says glyphosate is probably the most important factor in the development of multiple chronic diseases and conditions that have become prevalent in westernized society, meaning or including autism, right? So we didn't have these cases of autism before 1974, right? Allergies. How many of you are like on Zyrtec every day, or you have to go to the doctor to get allergy shots because your allergies are so out of control every season, right? Did you have that problem when you were a kid? Probably not. Cancer. How many of you know, or maybe you yourself, people who have been affected in your circle by cancer? At least, you can count on double hands, 5 people, 10 people in your circle, in your family that have been affected by cancer. The multitude of GI diseases, gastrointestinal diseases, such as inflammatory bowel disease. I had a client with Crohn's disease, and she was in her 20s, and she was suffering from, not Crohn's disease, colitis, ulcerative colitis, and she was suffering from ulcerative colitis, which is a serious GI issue. All of these commercials with the drugs you see on TV, we didn't have drug commercials, or drug advertisements before 1974. Infertility. How many of you know someone, or maybe you yourself, who have been unable to conceive, who have miscarried, or somebody you know who has had issues with fertility? Obesity. Now that is huge, obviously. We all know about that. Depression. How many of you, or you know someone who is quote unquote depressed, right? The doctor is quick to, actually I had a doctor try to give me Prozac because I went in there and I would just complain. I was like, I'm fat. I just started crying in her office, and she was like, here honey, let me give you a prescription for Prozac. And she gave me a prescription for Prozac, and I felt there feeling like, well dang, maybe I am depressed. She didn't tell me go see a therapist. She didn't say, go read a book. She didn't say get a gym membership. She gave me a prescription for Prozac. I remember going home, I was like, Mom, I just got this prescription for Prozac. And my mother had a fit. She was like, girl, you are not depressed. Give me that prescription. And she tore it up, and that was that. So I was like, oh. But I knew I wasn't really depressed, but I thought, well, if I could pop a pill and feel better, why not, right? So how many of us have had these situations where you're just like not feeling like yourself, you're feeling a little blue, and the doctor wants to give you a prescription, but nobody tells you, like, well, maybe you need to clean up your diet a little bit. Maybe you need to detox and get all of those toxins out of your system that are altering your brain chemistry, right? So like I mentioned before, with the questionnaires from the pre-detox that people did who participated in the pilot, a lot of them had issues with focusing, ability to focus. A lot of them had issue with not being able to lose weight, breaking through that plateau. Some other common trends that I've seen with the women that I help and the women that I talk to and the women that I coach: depression, diabetes. I mean, I'm 43, and I can think of at least 5 people I know who in my age group who are diabetic or pre-diabetic. Now that is ridiculous. Not ridiculous, but it's crazy, and it's totally reversible with type 2, because clean eating, right? We've got to improve what we're eating. We've got to really just understand what we are putting into our bodies. And the older we get, the longer we live, and the more crap we keep putting into our bodies, the worse we're going to be. There is no reason for people to think that before they die, they're going to be like terribly sick and in the nursing home or in the hospital, and they're going to die that way. No, the way that God intended you for your body to break down is for you to be vibrant and have full of vitality up until the day you die. And God willing, you just go in your sleep, right? You don't want to go in a hospital and have this long, drawn-out sickness. But unfortunately, that's what we think, how the end of our life is supposed to be. So no, you are at this point now where you can take advantage of this knowledge that I'm helping you with, these programs that I've created for you to really clean out your body, to really love and appreciate and practice self-love, and treat this body that you have like a temple. Okay, so let me get back to the glyphosate. All right, so what do you do, right? So what do you do? How do you protect yourself? How do you protect your family? Especially if you are dealing with something like depression or the blues. So first of all, it's important to know, again, that glyphosate is systemic. So it's in the conventional produce that you're eating. It's in the foods that you're eating. So you can't wash it off. It's inside the plant. So one of the things you want to do is definitely make sure to eat organic, and definitely not genetically modified foods or genetically engineered foods. Now, in the United States, the government, the FDA, does not require genetically engineered foods to be labeled. So the only thing we can go by, if we're not growing our own food in our own garden, is to buy foods with the label non-GMO, so non-genetically modified foods. So the other thing that you can do is to stop using Roundup in your home. So if you are like Fabulous and you have a plot of dirt in the back and you're growing your own food, do not use Roundup to kill the weeds, right? There are other ways that you can pull the weeds up, but other ways besides a chemical that you can use to kill the weeds. Especially even if you're not growing food, but maybe you're just spraying Roundup, just for instance, on your sidewalk, because you know how the weeds will like come up through the cracks, and you're spraying Roundup just to kill that. If you have pets or young children, you'll want to stop doing that. Okay? So the other thing you can do, in addition to buying organic, buying everything possible organic, eating more whole, unprocessed foods. So everything, there's so many products now that have organic splashed across it. But if you really stick primarily to mostly plants, organic plants, and eating whole, fresh, unprocessed foods, you're good, right? The other thing you're going to do is stop using Roundup if you use it at home. The other thing is, most importantly, is become an avid label reader. So you've got to avoid the genetically engineered foods. You've got to understand when you pick up a food item and you're reading the label, what does that mean? Now, yesterday I went grocery shopping, and it probably took me, I don't know, over an hour to do our grocery shopping, because I'm still like reading labels. I'm looking through, because there's always new products out, and Whole Foods is always like, try this, something new. I'm always looking at the ingredients to see what the heck is in there, and is this something that I want to feed me or my family? Is this something I want to buy? Is this something I want to buy and try and tell you guys, like, oh, this is so great, you need to buy this or try this? And so it takes me a little bit of time to go grocery shopping. So you need to understand what you're consuming. If it takes you a little bit longer, it is very important to read the labels. Go downstairs in your cabinets now, or into your kitchen, and read your labels of what you're consuming. These packaged foods. Thank you, Rosetta. And understand what you're reading. So, and understand what you're eating and consuming. And again, the best thing that you can do is to eat less processed food, right? Eat less packaged foods, and you won't have that problem. Your meats, for those of you who do eat meat, it should be grass-fed and pasture-raised, to make sure that the animals who you are consuming are not eating feed with genetically modified corn, for instance. So your grass-fed beef is super important. Your pastured pork is super important, because what they put in cheap meat and cheap the feed to feed those animals is terrible. It's terrible for the animal, and it's terrible for you. So you're just passing that on to your body and to your family. So the other thing that you can do is to do a seasonal detox to reduce your toxic load. We are all toxic. Like, you can't get away from it, because of where we live, how we live, the environment in which we live. We cannot get away from toxins. Even if, you eat a super clean diet, if you live in the city like I do, as soon as you go outside, it's like, you think you're smelling fresh air, but no, you're breathing in toxic air. I have this super cool fluffy pillow over there in my office that I love, but it's probably been chemically treated. The carpets, the upholstery, everything, the curtains that I love from Crate and Barrel have probably been chemically treated. I've been doing really well about putting natural products on my body. Still in the process with the makeup. You know, I love MAC makeup, Laura Mercier makeup, still there, but there are better options for makeup. But you've got to be intentional about reducing the toxic load in your body. So the one thing I love to do, and we just did with the spring detox, is not only the physical detox, but I had instructions on how to emotionally detox. And we had one detoxer who was going through a very emotional time with her family, and this was like extremely helpful for her. I mean, she posted in our group about how, you know, everything was kind of like cleansing from her life and her body at the same time, and it was quite an experience for her. So the emotional and the physical detoxes are important, and it's, you know, it's not good enough to do like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a detox before I go on my summer vacation because I need to get into my bikini. You know, all that's well and good. You're going to lose weight if you change the way you're eating, which is awesome. Everybody in the last group detox lost at least 5 pounds, up to 11 pounds, which is terrific. And that usually is what, you know, reins people in, like, oh, I need to lose some weight. But what you need to understand is that not only are you dropping pounds, but you are loving your body by cleansing the toxins that have collected into your system. So the reason why the seasonal detoxes are good, because it helps you to, one, reduce your toxic load because you are consuming toxins that have all built up from the last season, and you don't want to take it into the next season, right? So one of the reasons why so many of us suffer from spring allergies is because of the toxins that are in our system from the winter. Ooh, didn't know that, did you? So if you begin to get on a consistent schedule, and I will help you with that, of seasonal detoxes, you can begin to keep your toxic load at a sustainable level, right? So if you are interested, we are doing another spring detox starting on June 26th, which is Monday. And, you know, I will post the testimonials, the videos are on the page that I'll post down below. But it was such a fabulous, wonderful experience to do it with a group. You have the option to do it alone by yourself, and that is perfectly okay. You can always come to this group and ask a question if you need to. But the ladies will tell you, the ones who went through it last week, just the camaraderie and I call it the sisterly support of going through a detox with everybody at the same time, and everyone's kind of learning along at the same time, and everybody's trying the new recipes at the same time. It's great, and you have that support, and you know, I'm there to help coach and support you and answer questions and to keep you motivated, right? So the next group is starting on the 26th. If you're interested, there is a 4-day what I call it a pre-detox, so it's a prep session, so you have time to like go through all the materials, because it's a lot to learn, it's a lot to read, and a lot to understand, and get yourself mentally prepared for what's about to happen. There is a 7-day period of super clean eating, but the food is like delicious, and you don't have to take my word for it. I have testimonials on the page which you can see about the food. So 7 days you're eating like super clean, delicious, healthy food. You're doing all these other external detox tools to help you reduce your toxic load. And that's when you start to see like the change, the benefits, the vitality to come back, the energy to come back, the focus to come back, the ability to think clear. And by golly, you definitely will feel less bloated. You definitely will lose some weight. We had one woman who was on a plateau, had been working out consistently, like eating really clean, but just stopped losing weight, couldn't get past this plateau. And she was able to drop, I think, 5 or 6 pounds, and she was like, thank you for helping me to get past this plateau. And now it's like a whole different way of eating, a whole different way of living. So I'm going to post the link below. If you guys have any questions, you know how to reach me, post them in the group, tag me, and I will answer them as quickly as possible. But I want every woman to feel as good as I feel. I want every woman to feel as good as all of the women the 19 women and my husband who went through the last detox as a pilot. I'm ecstatic through the roof. So if you're struggling with some of these chronic symptoms, issues like depression, or feeling blue, you're just like not motivated, you're just like blah about life, part of that is your mindset, but part of it could just be your brain chemistry is altered and you need a good cleansing. If you're struggling from allergies, if you're struggling from stuck weight loss, like you can't, the scale is not moving, you've got 5 pounds left, and you're like, all right, why isn't the scale moving? Why isn't this happening? If you're just tired of being overweight and sluggish, like this is a great jump start to help you just really clean out your system and get motivated to live a healthier life, right? It teaches you a whole different way of eating. If you're struggling with allergies or any type of gastrointestinal issues, a lot of us are suffering from GI issues and we don't want to talk about it. You know, we have diarrhea, we're suffering from being bloated or constipated, ulcerative colitis, you know, some things are like, ugh. But your digestive system has everything to do with what you're eating, right? With what you're eating. All right. So I'm going to post the link below. It's jenniferdent.com/June detox, I think. I'm going to post it below. But I would love to have anyone who's listening this long to join the group, okay? But in the meantime, stay away from that roundup. Stay away from that roundup. Do your own research. Understand exactly where this is coming from and how you can keep your family safe and keep your body safe. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for joining in on this Monday, and I will see you in the group. Bye.